Steph is brat.
Anja is brat.
Awkward silence ensues if you're not watching with video.
I mean, it's probably awkward watching it too.
You know what? It's fine. What else is new?
That's true. Hi.
Hi, welcome to Steph and Anja's Media Review, where we review literally anything. You know, we've been doing movies, TV shows, general series. We're back to albums.
Yes.
Today we are...
So it's going to be much better this time.
Yes, because it's marketing specific.
Yes.
Anyway, today we are reviewing Charlie XCX's album Brat, which came out... It actually came out very recently, at the start of June this year. I would think it's a very... it's simple branding, but very, very effective branding. I would be surprised if you haven't seen it, or at least like seen that specific shade of green, but we will get into it.
Yes.
Anyway, Anja, before we jump in, I guess my question is, as usual, had you listened to the album? Had you been exposed to any marketing activity beforehand? What's your experience before doing research for this episode?
So, not much. I'm not like a fan of Charlie XCX. I know like 4 of her songs, and I mean I think half of them she's featuring on. So I don't really know her. I'm not in this sphere of Charlie XCX. So I haven't seen anything up until this week, pretty much, of recording. I hadn't seen anything. Like, it wasn't... Yeah, I just didn't know about the album. Yeah,
that's really interesting, because I guess as a contrast, like I'd seen quite a lot of it since I think about like mid to late June potentially is when I started seeing stuff about it, and obviously it's now end of July, so I've seen it for a while, and I think that's a real testament to, I guess, internet engagement culture and how that really differs and varies person to person. Because I think you and I sometimes have very similar social media feeds, and we get served very similar things. So it's really interesting to me that this was kind of one where we saw very different things.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting because like majority of the time our TikTok For You pages are the same.
The same, yeah.
And recently it's just been like, no, didn't even know this album existed, didn't see anything about it up until, like I said, this week.
I guess for me, like, I'm kind of the same, where I haven't really gone out of my way, I guess, to listen to Charlie XCX's music beforehand. Again, I was also more familiar with, I guess, stuff that she'd done in the past, stuff that she's featured on, less so on her like actual album releases. But this was one where like I kind of heard the music on TikTok. What else is new? And then was like, oh, that actually sounds like quite cool. It sounds quite fun. I have a note here where she kind of describes what the general sound of the album. It's her most aggressive, confrontational, but also her most vulnerable record, which I think is really interesting. I don't know if you gave it a bit of a listen, Anja, but I think you can really tell that it's very like open. I don't think there's like a lot of metaphor or like beating around the bush, so to speak, with this album. It's all pretty straightforward in what she's referring to, but it's also very like upbeat. I think it's the type of thing that you would hear in a club.
Yeah,
is how I would describe it.
That's kind of the vibe I got from initial listen, was like this very like clubby, like Y2K kind of vibes.
Yes. I think like a lot of her songs are, or songs in the past, I guess specifically, are kind of like that. But yeah, having done like a little listen to some of her older stuff, it's, yeah, taken to a whole other level in this album.
Hmm.
So I guess to start off, I'll give a bit of context of maybe the release process of the album before we get straight into the marketing of it. So she, in February of this year, she debuted snippets of a couple of tracks that were called at the time Spring Breakers and 365. Obviously, that's on the album. That was in like it's called a Boiler Room Warehouse set. And she was joined by people like Addison Rae, Julia Fox, who were on the Von Dutch remix, and also mentioned in a couple of songs. If you've heard the phrase in the song 360, I'm so Julia, that's the Julia that she's referring to, Julia Fox. She loves referencing her friends. So little fun fact for you there.
Yes.
On the 6th of March, following the release of Von Dutch, which was the first single, she premiered So I at the Billboard Women in Music event, with Club Classics and B2B following on the 3rd of April as a 2-pack promotional single. Then we come down to the actual like first song in the album, 360, which was released on May 10th alongside its music video. And she described it as her best music video ever, which I found really interesting. And again, featuring a lot of like well-known people in Charlie XCX's friend group, which I think that's such like a cool thing. I love when musicians do that. They're like, just gonna include all my friends in this.
Are we thinking
Why
about
not?
the same video, Steph? Taylor Swift, Bad Blood.
So true. So
Yep.
true. Exactly.
Yep.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then the actual album was released on, as I said, June 7th of this year, with a deluxe edition called Brat, and it's the same, but there's 3 more songs, so it's not. Was the full title. It was released
that.
3 days later. And part of that release was a song called Girl So Confusing, which was debatably, people were debating who it was about. It was real that it was about Lorde. You know, she's famous for a lot of stuff. Solar power. Yeah, everyone knows Lorde, I feel.
Yeah.
But it was a really intense song, and I want to harp on for a sec about it because I love this little lore.
Lore
so obviously,
about Lorde.
Yeah, exactly. My favorite type of lore.
Yes.
So essentially, this song, Girl So Confusing, releases, and overall, it's about womanhood and friendship, and being friends with girls, I guess, in general, is kind of how it comes across. But it's solely from Charlie XCX's point of view. She's saying, like, I don't really know where your head's at. I don't even know if you really like me, if you want me to succeed, if you want me to fail. I don't know where you stand. We hang out sometimes, but sometimes you'll cancel. Like, it's confusing, hence the title, Girl So Confusing. And then on June 21st, the remix of Girl So Confusing featuring Lorde releases. And Lorde comes in with this little verse about like how she was so speechless when she heard the song and kind of giving her side of the story. So it's like a 2-way conversation. And again, if you've heard the phrase recently, let's work it out on the remix, that is this song where they're like, let's clear this up, let's clear the air. This is how you're feeling, this is how I'm feeling. I didn't mean to make you feel that way.
Damn.
I think she ends her verse by saying, I'd ride for you, Charlie. So I love that. I love that Lorde lore.
The Lorde, that's cool as.
So, yeah. And that is everything that has been released to date for the album. I mean, I guess pending any other additional releases or remixes. That's generally, how it's happened. I think it's been definitely going on in the background for a little while. Obviously, the first teasers were back in February. So it's been about like a, 4 or 5 month process of releasing it.
I was going to say there was also some like fan dedicated stuff as well that I saw with like a private fan WhatsApp group, and as well as a burner Instagram account created that was named 360 Brat, where Charlie could interact with fans on story Q&As, like discuss music, get exclusive sneak peeks. So like it's cool they had that too.
Yeah,
that like little thing for the fans.
Yeah, exactly. And I think from what I've gathered, like Charlie XCX has always been about fan interaction, fan engagement. So it doesn't surprise me to know that, I guess.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, she's, actually kind of including them and engaging them in that way as well.
Yeah, I think that's cool.
Yeah.
I did want to chat about Addison Rae though a little more.
Yes, go for it.
Something that I did see, while I didn't know was related to Brat at the time, I did find out through research. On TikTok, Addison Rae having a little scream in a song went absolutely viral on TikTok. Everyone was posting it, talking about it, being like, oh, Addison's a musical genius and all this stuff because of this little scream in a song. And I had no idea that it was from the remix of Von Dutch, which is in Charlie's Brat. But there you go.
Yeah, like it's just, again, I love when creators are like, they make it such a collaborative process.
Yeah.
I think because not only are you engaging with your fans, but you're also engaging with like that person's fans. And I don't know, I feel like there might not be as much overlap between people who like Charlie XCX and people who like Addison Rae. So that's quite an interesting thing to think about from a marketing perspective as well, is like, well, you're already going to appeal to people who already like you. So how do you appeal to people outside of your sphere?
Exactly.
Yeah. So on that note, let's shuffle into the overall marketing. I wanted to start, I guess, as a stepping stone on the actual album artwork, and we can kind of go from there, because the album artwork in itself is very basic. It is a neon shade of green, with just like the word brat. I couldn't tell you what font it is. I don't know that off the top of my head, but it's brat. It's all lowercase, and that's the album.
Yeah.
Love it. But I wanted to share like a little bit of a note on this. So apparently Charlie and her team went through 65 shades of green to choose the unique color that perfectly represented this album.
Damn.
And then obviously, and we'll get into it in a little bit, that particular shade of green has obviously been used by fans to represent this Brat era or Brat summer. So clearly it was such like a process there as well to pick the perfect shade of green.
Damn, I did not know that much went into it.
Yeah.
65 shades of green.
Exactly.
That's too many shades of green.
I also wanted to note that I guess the reasoning behind it being so bare bones and almost basic in a way is she actually had an interview with Vogue Singapore, and she said that criticism led her to question why fans feel, quote, ownership over female artists, that they demand their photograph be on all their work, which is true. Like you think about like pretty much every artist has like, I don't know, like a model-esque image of themselves, where I think a lot of the time male artists can afford to be a bit more artistic and adventurous with their covers, which I thought was quite interesting. And she also said, I wanted to go with an offensive, off-trend shade of green to trigger the idea of something being wrong. I'd like for us to question our expectations of pop culture. Why are some things considered good and acceptable and some things deemed bad? I'm interested in the narratives behind that, and I wanted to provoke people. I'm not doing things to be nice. Which I actually love, because I feel like a lot of the, I guess, trend that I've seen is like this era of the clean girl. You know, people who wear makeup, but it's all natural. People who, like, not to stereotype, but have like the slick back hair and, you know, are very like, very corporate. And I just love the fact that this is almost in opposition of that, where it's saying, no, you don't have to be that specific type of person. You don't have to be sterile. You can be messy. It can be off trend, which in of itself is a trend. And I'm like, I love that for you.
Yeah, fair.
And then I guess you think about like where the artwork has gone. So obviously they did a big, it's such a visual image. So they did a lot of like outdoor, out of home activity with this one. I remember seeing on TikTok people posting about where the brat wall was. I think it was in South Yarra. There was one that people could take photos with. South Yarra, I don't know. It was very much like Melbourne CBD. But yes, so had a lot of outdoor and digital billboards, and all of it was just like the green signage.
Brat.
Yeah, that was it.
I love it.
And this person notes, I'm sorry, I didn't grab their name. They note that even though the album is really minimal in its branding, it has had a lot of impact. It's really been impactful. It's evident that these advertising and marketing strategies have boosted album sales, which has enabled Charlie XCX to achieve the biggest week in unit sales of her whole career, which is crazy if you think about it, because she has been around since, what, 2014, 2015?
Yeah, Fancy
when
came
I
out.
started hearing about
I was
her.
gonna say, yeah, Fancy was 2014, so
yeah. Or maybe before that. I don't remember when she did I Love It.
Yeah, maybe to 2013. I'm not so sure.
Yeah. But even so, like, she's been around for so long, and the fact that something like this has been her biggest success, I guess, is really like fascinating in of itself as well, I find.
I agree.
Yeah. And also just on the brat wall, this occurred across the globe. This was not just a Melbourne or metro city specific thing. It actually started in Greenpoint, Brooklyn.
Okay.
And that was a very special one because it was painted and then repainted with the album's green color and various messages. So it changed from, well, it was whatever like was being promoted. So it went from I'm Your Fave Reference, which is a lyric from 360, the song, before it was repainted to Brat. And then the day where the deluxe edition was released, the wall was changed to the color white with the message Brat, and it's the same, but there's 3 more songs, so it's not. So that's obviously promoting the extra edition.
Yes.
And then the wall kind of remained white, but changed its message to Lord, the artist, for the release of Girl So Confusing, the remix. And then it changed to Okay Bye, exclamation point.
Signing off.
Which was painted on July 1st.
Wow.
And I was like, I love that. Like,
so do I.
Again, it's such a way of like engaging with people in real time. I think it's very easy to engage with people on social media if you can do it right. I think engaging with people offline, that's when you know you've had a success. I think when people are actively going to these locations, taking pictures of your billboard, like, I don't know if that necessarily translates into sales, but it gets people talking about it.
Yeah, very true.
Which has led us to the Brat Summer.
Yes.
Which is the period of time where this was released.
Okay.
So obviously it's kind of like, I think it's really interesting to talk about because I've seen it pop up a couple of times where last year we had Barbie summer and everything was pink. And this year we have the brat summer where it's a bit messier, it's a bit grimier, it's green. Also, shout out to Barbies and brats. So true.
Can we just shout, I'm
Always
wearing
together.
pink and you're wearing green?
So true. I'm in my brat era. What can I say?
I think I'm stuck with Barbie still.
Stuck with Barbie. Fair. But yes, so obviously it was a super viral thing offline and online. There was a brat generator tool, which people could replicate the cover and basically put their own spin on it, which I feel like that's a really great way of engaging with people. People love posting memes and images, so of course that makes sense. The London Eye was actually lit up in lime green on the day that the album released.
Oh, that's cool.
Love that. And as part of the 2024 election campaign in the UK, the Green Party of England and Wales posted a replica of the album cover to their social media, which just read, "Vote Green instead of Brat." So, I mean, I guess some context there too is Charlie XCX is from the UK. She's a UK artist.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that that's kind of where a lot of this is operating out of. Like you think the London Eye, obviously the UK election, people could do that anyway, but I think it's really interesting that it's not necessarily US centric either.
Yeah, it's actually really cool that it's not.
Yeah.
But I feel like the UK election is a good segue
Yes.
to the US elections. Because,
oh boy,
fun fact, okay, we do have to explain this. We were going to record this episode a week earlier, and we would have missed this great development with
we would have missed
Brat,
all of this. Yeah.
Which I think that's crazy. It worked out in some kind of way that we missed recording last week and we get to see this little nugget of perfection show up.
Yes, and I'm very curious to see how it lands, how it finishes up.
Yeah,
we'll keep you posted.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on it, but I must say Kamala is brat.
But yes, so for those who are not across it, who are a little less online, basically after Joe Biden withdrew from the US presidential election, the Biden-Harris campaign Twitter profile renamed itself Kamala HQ, which for those who don't know, Kamala Harris is the new Democratic representative for this election. But they changed the banner on Twitter or X to a replica of the album, which just says Kamala HQ at the top. I love that. And this happened after Charlie XCX endorsed Kamala Harris on Twitter. And as Anja had just said, posted Kamala is brat.
I love it.
And I also want to give a shout out to all the TikTok videos, all the TikTok memes.
Yes.
With edits of the song overlaid with, obviously footage of Kamala Harris over the years, which, I guess the reason that I'm curious to see how this will play out is, will it actually have an impact? Because obviously in the US, they don't have to vote in the election if they don't want to, unlike the Australian ones where you do. And obviously there's a lot of fear at the moment. A lot of people are feeling quite hopeless. Sorry to bring the mood down a little bit, but it's not a very, it's a pretty awful political climate just across the globe, but especially in the US. And I'm really curious to see if this has an impact, especially across younger voters, people who are probably most inclined to feel the most hopeless about the future, looking at the previous candidate and the Republican candidate. Yeah. So I think my thinking is, and feel free to jump in here too,
Yeah.
is because this has been a very organic type phenomena, I think, where Kamala Harris hasn't necessarily addressed it, right?
No.
It's been the Twitter account, it's been Charlie XCX, and then other than that, it's been the fans. I think that's where it differs for, I don't know if you remember, when Hillary Clinton was campaigning to be president back in 2016, where she infamously said, Pokemon go to the polls. I think the fact that she hasn't addressed it is ultimately a good thing. I think that ensures that it's a bit longer. It doesn't instantly die and people feel a bit of secondhand embarrassment, a bit of cringe, which I think is important, especially because it is, I think, engaging with people. I mean, based on what I've seen on Twitter as well, I think people are starting to feel a little less hopeless about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, only time will tell.
Yeah, I think she's definitely like smart moves are being made right now. And with Charlie XCX just like popping up randomly, I think they've used it really well. I think they're really going for that youth vote.
Yes.
The youth vote will sway, obviously, the results.
Yeah. Yes.
I just find it really interesting, and I could look into it and talk about it lots more about the presidential race. Not that I should care because I'm Aussie, but
but ultimately it impacts the rest of the world, whatever happens.
It does.
So
it does. That's fair. But yeah, no, I just think it's really interesting how, like, this little UK album is now playing a pretty big role in a US election.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, like I couldn't tell you. I mean, obviously, like I was pretty young, like 2012 and before that. I wasn't really looking at US politics at the age of 12 years old.
No.
But obviously, I do remember 2016 and obviously 2020.
Yeah.
Those two elections. And I don't remember there being something like this that engaged voters so drastically.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. Not that I actually paid much attention earlier. Like,
No.
I remember in the 2020 election, Joe Biden was on TikTok, and they were trying to make him look all youthful, even though he's like a dinosaur. But yeah, no, but I don't remember much. But this is definitely pretty significant, is what I'm trying to say.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, did you have anything further on the marketing?
No, I think we've covered everything I saw.
Love.
Yes. I think that wraps us up then.
Yeah, obviously, no fan fiction. Charlie XCX is a real person.
Yes, and we do
not do that here.
No, we do not condone real life people fan fictions. Yes, I said that right.
Yes.
Yeah. So any final thoughts then, Steph?
Yes, string brat. Be a brat.
Brat winter is here.
Brat winter is here.
For us Aussies.
For us Aussies. No, I think it's also a very interesting campaign as well because, yeah, as I said, like a lot of it's been really organic. They've obviously had like a few big pieces here and there, but I haven't really been served like TikTok ads or social ads in general. I haven't really heard about it through other media channels. I just saw organically on TikTok.
There you go.
Yeah. How about you? Any final thoughts?
I think for someone who just like kind of it only popped up like within the last week because of the whole presidential aspect of it.
Mm.
I think it was really interesting to dive in and kind of see how they've gone about it and what aspects there were. I read so many articles the other day while researching about this, reading it was a great campaign, it was a shit campaign, it was an engagement, it was like a brand awareness, like there was so much stuff going on and being said about this campaign. But I thought overall, you're all talking about it, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
And
any publicity is good publicity.
exactly. So I thought, and especially with the boost with the presidential campaign now, I think it's like really, really great way. And I don't know if Charlie meant to like boost her album by just saying Kamala is brat, but if she didn't, what pure luck. If she meant for like if she wanted to try and make something happen, well, good on you, because that was genius.
She succeeded.
Yes.
Yeah, either way, it's a win for Charlie XCX.
Exactly. So those are my final thoughts. So I guess we're gonna wrap it up now.
Yeah.
So thank you guys all for watching and listening. If you liked it, then leave a like, I guess. We have a subscribe button, and on Spotify we have a little following button if you guys want to press those. We have Instagram and TikTok. We try to post stuff, but we're busy gals, so not all the time. And also leave a comment or a Q&A. We'd love to just hear from you guys. If you have any requests, anything you want to tell us, what you ate for lunch, we'd love to know. And yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah. And if there's nothing else, be a brat and true.